She was dragged into the ring under roaring applause like a fragile doll dressed up for the rich man's party. Called the skinny bunny, the walking punching bag, the billionaire's new pet. Forced to strap on gloves to amuse the heavyweight monster in front of a laughing, diamond-draped crowd. But in just 8 seconds, she knocked him flat with a textbook combo and left the gilded ballroom drowned in suffocating silence. Clara Wynn, 5 feet 3 inches and 121 pounds, stood in the heart of the Stone Manor Ballroom, transformed into a cruel arena for Boxing for Heroes, a so-called charity event for veterans that was nothing but a stage for New York's elite to flex their wealth and dominance. The makeshift ring, its ropes gleaming under chandeliers, was a glitzy crucible of public humiliation. Clara, in a plain white t-shirt, faded jeans, and worn-out sneakers, had arrived as Nathaniel Stone's new girlfriend, her identity deliberately cloaked. She sat quietly in the back rows, unnoticed, her eyes scanning the crowd like a predator in hiding. Mason Briggs, 6 feet 4 inches and 242 pounds, the heavyweight champion with a grin like a blade, spotted her from the stage. His voice boomed through the ballroom speakers, dripping with condescension. "So you're Stone's new plaything, with that scrawny body. What do you do, sweetheart? Blend smoothies in the gym." The crowd tycoons, socialites, and champagne-drunk moguls erupted in laughter, their jeweled hands clapping, their phones raised to capture the sport. Mason strutted toward Clara, his tailored suit barely containing his bulk, his eyes gleaming with sadistic glee. "Come on, little bunny, let's have some fun for charity," he mocked, tossing a pair of gloves at her feet, their leather polished but reeking of performative cruelty. The crowd roared approval, their voices a chorus of elitist scorn. "Get in the ring, sweetheart, a hedge fund," Bro shouted, waving a stack of bills. $500, she cries in 10 seconds, another bet, his Rolex glinting. Clara's silence was a wall, her face unreadable, but the pressure mounted as Mason's entourage circled her seat, their taunts a suffocating cage. "Don't embarrass your boyfriend, darling," a socialite sneered, her diamond earrings flashing. Nathaniel Stone, the billionaire host, stood silent at the edge of the crowd, his eyes locked on Clara, honoring her unspoken command to stay out of it. The MC, a slick TV personality named Vance, amplified the humiliation, his voice booming. "Let's see if Stone's new girl can survive the champ." The crowd's laughter was a tidal wave, their bets climbing $1,000. She'd collapse, $2,000. She'd beg. Clara rose, her sneakers scuffing the marble floor, her silence a storm brewing, and signed the sparring waiver with a steady hand, her presence a challenge the elite couldn't fathom. As Clara stood in the ring's shadow, the crowd unleashed a vicious critique of her attire, their voices dripping with elitist disdain. "Look at that t-shirt, did she pull it from a thrift bin?" A socialite sneered, her fur stole gleaming under the chandeliers. "Those jeans are a crime against fashion." A mogul barked, waving a champagne flute, sparking laughter. The taunts escalated, laundry girl, discount rack disaster, each jab, a dart aimed at her humility. Vance, the MC, joined in his mic, amplifying the cruelty. "Our bunny's dressed for a garage sale, folks." A tech bro tossed a crumpled dollar bill at Clara's feet, shouting, "Buy some style, sweetheart." The crowd's phones flashed, capturing her plain clothes as a punchline, their laughter a tidal wave of scorn. Before Clara could reach the ring, a clique of moguls staged a humiliating job application stunt, their voices dripping with elitist scorn as they waved a fake resume at her. Position ring. Jester 1 bellowed, holding up a sheet scrawled with insults, his gold ring flashing. Qualifications: 0 experience, folding laundry, another mocked, sparking raucous laughter. The crowd chanted, "Hire the bunny! Hire the bunny!" Their phones filming the spectacle, each taunt a dart aimed at her worth. Vance's mic boomed. "Step right up, applicant fail for our amusement." A socialite tossed a pen at Clara's feet, sneering. "Sign your resignation, darling." Mason grinned, his voice sharp. "You're overqualified for losing, bunny." The ballroom's marble floor gleamed. Clara's sneakers scuffed her silence, a steel wall, but the stunt was a public gutting, each word a blade slicing her dignity. The elite's laughter was a storm, their bets climbing $2,000 she'd flee in shame. The chandeliers cast a mocking glow, the crowd's glee a suffocating shroud that pushed audience anger to a boiling point. Mason grinned, his voice sharp. "You're embarrassing, Stone Bunny." The ballroom's marble gleamed. Clara's sneakers scuffed her silence a shield, but the wardrobe critique was a public flaying, each insult a lash against her identity, the elite's glee a suffocating storm. The ballroom's chandeliers cast a golden glow, but the air was thick with venom as Clara stepped onto the ring's canvas, her plain t-shirt a stark contrast to the crowd's tailored suits and sequined gowns. Mason, now shirtless, his muscles rippling under the lights, leaned in his breath, hot with arrogance. "I'll give you 3 minutes to survive, Cupcake. Make it past that, and I'll write you 100 grand. If not, you shine my shoes for a month." The crowd howled their champagne glasses, raised their phones, filming the spectacle. "Polish 'em good, Bunny," a tech mogul yelled, sparking laughter. Vance, the MC, leaned into the mic, his voice oily. "Let's hear it for the cutest punching bag of the year." The crowd's chant. Bunny shook the ballroom, their sadism a living beast. Clara adjusted the gloves. Their fit too large, her eyes scanning Mason's swagger like a sniper lining up a shot. As Clara adjusted her gloves, a group of socialites staged a vicious runway walk parody, strutting near the ring in exaggerated imitation of her modest gait. "Here comes Bunny Coocher," one shrieked, tripping theatrically, her sequined gown sparking cheers. "Those sneakers are so last century," another mocked, kicking off her heels to mimic Clara's scuffed shoes. The crowd roared their phones, filming, chanting, "Walk off, Bunny." Vance's mic amplified the cruelty. "Our model's ready for the thrift store catwalk." A mogul tossed a crumpled scarf at Clara's feet, yelling, "Wear this, peasant!" Mason clapped, his voice a growl. "Strut to your doom, Cupcake!" The ballroom's chandeliers glinted like knives, Clara's jeans clinging to her legs, her silence a fortress, but the runway walk was a public flaying, each step a wound to her pride. The elite's laughter was a tidal wave, their bets spiking $4,000 she'd crumble under the scorn. The marble walls echoed with malice. The crowd's sadism, a relentless storm that stoked audience rage to a fever pitch. Before the bell, a group of tycoons staged a mock charity pledge to humiliate Clara. Further, their voices loud with performative pity. "I'll donate $10,000 if she lasts 10 seconds. One shouted, his cufflinks glinting, sparking cheers. $20,000 if she doesn't cry. Another added, his voice carrying over the crowd's jeers. The pledges grew crueler. $50,000 if she begged $100,000 if she crawled out. Vance's mic boomed. "Let's help the veterans by watching Bunny flop." A socialite tossed a fake check at Clara's feet, sneering, "Cash it when you lose, darling." The crowd's laughter was a storm, their phones filming the farce, capturing Clara's stillness against their scorn. Mason clapped, his voice gleeful. "Make it quick, Bunny. We're betting on your tears." The ballroom's chandeliers cast a mocking glow, Clara's t-shirt a target, her silence a defiance that only fueled their cruelty. The fake pledges were a public execution, each dollar a nail in her dignity, the elite's sadism a relentless blade. Before the fight began, a group of tycoons orchestrated a cruel talent show skit, their voices loud with condescension as they auditioned Clara for the ring. "Show us your skills, Bunny," one shouted, waving a cigar, his suit jacket flapping. Talent-taking, punches, specialty, falling fast. Another jeered, sparking laughter. The crowd chanted, "Flop, Bunny, flop," their phones capturing the farce, each taunt a dart aimed at her competence. Vance's mic boomed. Our contestants ready to bomb the stage. A socialite tossed a plastic tiara at Clara's feet, sneering, "Crown yourself the loser, darling." Mason's grin widened, his voice sharp, "Your big act's gonna be kissing canvas." The ballroom's marble gleamed Clara's t-shirt, damp her silence a defiance, but the talent show was a public execution, each jibe a blade slashing her worth. The elite's laughter was a storm, their bets climbing $6,000 she'd fail spectacularly. The chandeliers cast a mocking glow, the crowd's glee a suffocating blade that pushed audience anger to a breaking point. As Clara stood in the ring, a group of Mason's cronies started a mock cheerleader routine, waving their ties like pom-poms, their voices a taunting sing-song. "Go, Bunny, go, fall fast, don't be slow." They chanted, their tailored jackets flapping their phones, capturing the farce. A woman in a red gown tossed a silk handkerchief at Clara, shouting, "Wipe your tears, darling." The crowd roared their bets, spiking $3,000 she'd quit in a minute. Mason grinned, egging them on, his voice a growl. "Look at her. She's already shaking." Vance amplified the cruelty, his mic a weapon. Will our little bunny hop away or get squashed? The ballroom's marble walls echoed with laughter, the chandeliers glinting like knives. Clara's jeans clung to her legs, her t-shirt damp with sweat, but her silence was a fortress, her eyes burning with a fire the crowd couldn't see. The cheerleader chant was a public flogging, each syllable a lash, the elite's glee a suffocating shroud that only fueled her resolve. The bell rang and the ballroom exploded with cheers as Mason danced around Clara. His fists raised his grin, a slash of arrogance. "Don't worry, princess. I won't hit your pretty face," he taunted, shoving her against the ropes with a lazy push, his strength a performative joke. The crowd howled their phones, flashing their voices, a chorus of scorn. "Make her kiss the canvas," Mason, a banker, shouted, waving a cigar. Clara endured 30 seconds of being cornered, Mason's shoves and taunts, a public parade of her supposed weakness. During the first 30 seconds, a clique of socialites near the ring began a taunting dance routine, mimicking Clara's defensive stance with exaggerated clumsiness. "Look at Bunny Dodge 1, shrieked, flopping her arms, her gown swishing, sparking laughter. "She's tripping already." Another mocked, stumbling in her heels, her pearls bouncing. The crowd joined in their phones, filming the parody, their cheers, a chorus of contempt. Vance's voice boomed. "Our bunny's got 2 left feet, folks." A mogul tossed a cocktail straw at Clara's feet, yelling, "Trip over that pet." Mason laughed, his shoves harder, each one a taunt to match the dance. The ballroom's marble echoed with jeers, the chandeliers glinting like knives. Clara's jeans clung to her legs, her silence a fortress, but the dance routine was a public scourging, each step a wound to her pride, the elite's glee a suffocating shroud that pushed audience anger to a boiling point. "Look at her flinch." A socialite screeched, her pearls bouncing. Vance's voice boomed. "Our bunny's already hopping for cover." The crowd's bets climbed $5,000. She'd fall in a minute. $10,000, she'd cry. A mogul tossed a cocktail cherry at Clara's feet, yelling, "Eat it, pet." The ballroom's air was electric with cruelty, but Clara's silence was a blade, her body absorbing Mason's shoves, her eyes tracking his rhythm like a predator waiting for the kill. During Mason's taunting shoves, a faction of the crowd formed a mock cheer squad, their voices synchronized in a humiliating chant to break Clara's spirit. "B-U-N-N-Y, you're gonna cry and flee!" They sang, clapping in rhythm, their tailored suits swaying, sparking cheers. "Hop away, hop away!" A socialite added, waving her clutch, her diamonds flashing. The crowd's phones filmed their laughter, a chorus of contempt chanting, "Break the bunny." Vance's mic boomed, "Our cheer squad's rooting for a knockout, folks." A mogul tossed a cocktail olive at Clara's feet, yelling, "Choke on that, pet." Mason's shoves grew harder, each one a taunt to match the chant. The ballroom's marble echoed with malice. Clara's jeans scuffed her silence a shield, but the cheer squad was a public scourging, each syllable a lash against her resolve. The elite's bets spiked $8,000 she'd collapse under the chant. The chandeliers glinted like knives, the crowd's sadism, a relentless storm that drove audience anger to a boiling point. Mason's arrogance grew, his guard dropping as he played to the crowd, his jabs half-hearted, his voice loud. "Come on, Bunny, at least try." He mocked, winking at a group of investors. The crowd's chant shifted. "Kiss the canvas. Kiss the canvas," their voices a hammer on Clara's silence. A tech bro threw a napkin, its edge grazing Clara's t-shirt, sparking laughter. "Clean the ring, sweetheart," he yelled. Vance leaned into the mic, his voice gleeful. "Will our punching bag last another 10 seconds?" The crowd's phones zoomed in their laughter, a storm capturing Clara's stillness against their onslaught. Clara's eyes narrowed, her body shifting, her silence now a fuse burning down. As Mason toyed with Clara, a group of tycoons formed a mock fan club, waving makeshift signs scrawled with cruel slogans. Bunny's #1 loser 1 read, held high by a banker, his tie loosened, sparking cheers. Team Canvas Kiss. Another boasted, waved by a tech mogul, his watch glinting. The signs grew vicious, scrawny Bunny Club. Quit now, pet, each one a dart aimed at her spirit. Vance amplified the taunt, his mic sharp. "Join the Bunny fan club, folks. She's going down." A socialite tossed a paper fan at Clara's feet, shouting, "Cool off, loser." The crowd's phones captured the signs, their laughter, a tidal wave, filming Clara's guarded stance against their scorn. As Mason played to the crowd, a group of socialites staged a mock pity party, their voices dripping with fake sympathy to humiliate Clara further. Poor Bunny all alone in the big ring. One crooned, dabbing her eyes with a silk scarf, sparking laughter. She needs a hug before she breaks another, mocked, blowing a kiss, her lipstick gleaming. The crowd chanted "Boo-hoo Bunny," their phones filming each taunt a dart aimed at her strength. Vance's mic boomed, "Let's throw a pity party for our doomed star." A mogul tossed a paper heart at Clara's feet, sneering, "For your broken spirit, pet." Mason's grin widened, his voice sharp. "Cry us a river cupcake." The ballroom's marble gleamed. Clara's t-shirt torn her silence a rebellion, but the pity party was a public lynching, each word a blade slashing her dignity. The elite's laughter was a tidal wave, their bets climbing $12,000 she'd buckle under the mockery. The chandeliers cast a mocking glow, the crowd's sadism a suffocating storm that pushed audience anger to a shattering peak. The ballroom's air was electric with malice. Clara's t-shirt, a target, her silence, a rebellion. But the fan club was a public lynching, each sign a nail in her resolve, the elite's sadism a relentless storm. The crowd's sadism peaked as a group of socialites started a mock betting pool on Clara's excuses for quitting. $200, she says she twisted her ankle, one shouted, waving a clutch. $300, she claims she's dizzy. Another added her voice, carrying over the crowd's jeers. The bets grew crueler. $500, she'd fake a nosebleed. $1,000, she'd beg for mercy. Mason egged them on, his voice sharp. "Pick an excuse, Bunny, and hop out of here." A mogul flicked a cigar ash at Clara's sneakers, yelling, "Quit, little pet." The crowd's laughter was a tidal wave, their phones filming the spectacle. Vance's mic boomed, "What's it gonna be, folks? Ankle or tears?" The ballroom's chandeliers cast a mocking glow, Clara's t-shirt a target for their scorn. Her silence was a rebellion, but the betting pool was a public crucifixion, each bet a nail in her dignity, the elite's glee a knife in her resolve. As the first minute ticked by, Vance paused the fight with a fake sympathy speech, his voice dripping with condescension. "Folks, let's give our Bunny a moment. She's clearly out of her depth," he crooned, leaning into the mic, sparking laughter. Poor thing, she thought she could play with the big boys. The crowd roared, their phones filming as Vance gestured at Clara like a circus ringmaster. "Should we let her quit now or watch her flop?" he mocked, his eyes glinting. A socialite tossed a tissue at Clara's feet, sneering. "Dry your eyes," Pet Mason clapped, his voice sharp. "Give her a head start, Vance. She's done." The ballroom's chandeliers cast a mocking glow, the crowd's bets, spiking 15,000 she'd surrender. Clara's silence was a defiance. Her jeans scuffed her t-shirt damp, but Vance's speech was a public execution, each word a lash against her dignity, the elite's glee a suffocating blade that pushed audience anger to a fever pitch. Mason's cockiness was his undoing. He dropped his hands, laughing at a socialite's taunt, his voice loud. "This is too easy!" The crowd roared, their bets climbing $20,000. She'd never land a punch. Clara's left foot pivoted, her body a blur, and she unleashed a textbook MMA combo adapted for boxing: uppercut, hook, liver shot, each strike a surgical blade. Her final hook slammed Mason's jaw, the kill switch a crack like a gunshot. The ballroom's roar choked off silence, crashing like a wave. Mason's 242-pound frame crumpled, his eyes, blank blood pooling beneath his face, his body twitching on the canvas. The crowd's phones froze, their jaws slack, their bets dust. Clara stood over him, her breath even, her t-shirt torn, her presence a monolith. As Mason's body hit the canvas, the crowd's silence revealed Clara's tactical brilliance, her every move, a calculated masterpiece that rewrote the fight's narrative. She had baited Mason's arrogance, her defensive flinches deliberate, her footwork a chess game that lured him into overconfidence. A veteran in the crowd whispered, "She played him like a fiddle." Her uppercut had targeted his chin's pressure point, her hook a precision strike to his jaw's nerve cluster, each blow a SEAL-trained kill shot adapted for the ring. The socialites' gasps grew, their phones trembling as a trainer muttered, "That's not boxing. That's warfare." Vance's mic stayed silent, his bravado crushed as Clara's t-shirt gleamed under the chandeliers, a symbol of untouchable skill. The ballroom's air shifted, the crowd's awe a tide that drowned their earlier scorn, their bets a joke against her mastery. The audience's satisfaction surged, Clara's talent a thunderbolt that shattered the elite's arrogance, her victory a fire that consumed their pride. The chandeliers dimmed as if bowing to her, the ballroom a tomb, its arrogance buried under her strike. As Mason's blood pooled on the canvas, Clara's lethal precision became undeniable, her combo a masterclass in combat that stunned the ballroom into awe. Each strike had been a calculated kill shot, her uppercut shattering Mason's balance, her liver shot crippling his breath, her hook targeting the jaw's nerve with surgical accuracy. A retired general in the crowd whispered, "She's a weapon, not a fighter." Her footwork had mapped Mason's arrogance, her silence a trap that lured him to his doom. The socialites' gasps grew their phones, trembling as a trainer muttered, "That's battlefield training, not gym sparring." Vance's mic stayed mute. His bravado erased as Clara's t-shirt gleamed under the chandeliers, a symbol of untouchable mastery. The crowd's bets lay scattered, their cash a relic of their folly. The ballroom's air shifted, Clara's talent a thunderbolt that shattered the elite's pride, her victory a fire that consumed their scorn. The audience's satisfaction soared, her precision a crown that marked her as a legend, a scar on the antagonist's arrogance that would never fade. Clara's precision in those 8 seconds was a revelation. Her movements a silent symphony of combat mastery that stunned the sharp-eyed in the crowd. Each strike was calculated, her feet gliding across the canvas, her fists threading through Mason's defenses like a needle through silk. A retired colonel in the back row leaned forward, muttering, "That's SEAL training." No question. Her combo was a dance of destruction, her eyes locked on Mason's collapse, every motion a testament to years of unseen discipline. The crowd's jeers faltered as a few fighters noticed her skill, their whispers growing, "She's no civilian." Vance's mic fell silent, his bravado gone as Clara's silence commanded the room. The socialites' champagne glasses trembled, their bets a joke against her power. The ballroom's air shifted, Clara's t-shirt a banner of victory, her presence a force that bent the crowd's will, their awe, a tide that drowned their earlier scorn. As Clara stepped back from Mason's crumpled form, the veterans in the crowd rose in a standing ovation, their applause a deafening tribute to her warrior's spirit. "She's our sister," a retired major declared, his voice cutting through the silence, his medals glinting. The ovation spread, the ballroom shaking as fighters joined in their fists, raised their phones filming a hero's triumph. A sergeant shouted, "That's SEAL honor," his words a verdict on Mason's disgrace. The socialites' faces paled, their champagne forgotten as Vance's mic lay idle, his role erased. Nathaniel Stone's nod was subtle, his silence amplifying Clara's command. The crowd's bets scattered, their cash a relic of their folly. The chandeliers burned brighter, Clara's silence a beacon that turned jeers to worship her victory, a flame that cleansed the ring. The audience's satisfaction soared, the veterans' tribute a crown for Clara, her talent a scar on the elite's pride. As Clara stood over Mason's twitching form, the crowd's reverent silence became a testament to her power, their earlier jeers replaced by a hush that honored her strike. Fighters in the audience bowed their heads, their fists clenched, their phones filming a warrior's triumph. "She's rewritten the ring," a veteran whispered, his voice thick with awe. The socialites' champagne glasses sat untouched, their faces pale as Vance's mic lay forgotten, his role a footnote. Nathaniel Stone's slow clap echoed his silence, a nod to Clara's command. The chandeliers burned brighter, Clara's silence a beacon that turned enemies to worshippers, her talent a flame that cleansed the ballroom. The crowd's bets were dust, their arrogance a memory, as the marble walls echoed with her name. The audience's satisfaction crested the silence, a crown for Clara, her victory a scar that marked the elite's downfall forever. The crowd's shock gave way to a stunned murmur as a group of veterans in the audience began clapping their hands, slow at first, then thunderous, a tribute to Clara's strike. "She's one of us," a grizzled sergeant whispered, his eyes wide with respect. The applause spread, the ballroom's marble walls echoing as spectators joined in, their phones now filming a hero's rise. Mason's entourage shrank back, their taunts a memory as the colonel stood, his voice firm. "That's combat, not charity." Vance tried to speak, but his mic was ignored, his authority dust. Nathaniel Stone's smirk widened his silence, a nod to Clara's plan, his role as bystander perfectly played. The crowd's bets lay scattered their cash, a relic of a broken order. The chandeliers burned brighter. Clara's silence, a command that turned jeers to worship her triumph, a fire that consumed the ballroom's cruelty. Clara peeled off the gloves, their leather splitting as she dropped them on Mason's chest. She stepped over his unconscious body, her voice a whisper that sliced the silence. Clara Wynne, former SEAL Team 6 hand-to-hand combat instructor. I left the battlefield to learn how to live like a normal human, but you people forgot. What I learned was never meant to be a game. The crowd gasped the name of Thunderbolt. She turned to Nathaniel Stone, his smug smirk confirming he'd known all along. You thought I needed you to defend me. I only needed you to stay out of the way like you just did. The socialites' jaws dropped, their phones trembling, capturing the revelation. As Clara's revelation sank in, the veterans in the crowd unleashed a battle cry, their voices a thunderous tribute to her SEAL legacy. Win, win. For the fallen, a colonel roared his fist, raised his medals, glinting, sparking cheers. The cry spread the ballroom, shaking as fighters joined in their phones, filming a hero's coronation. She fights for us, a sergeant shouted, his words a verdict on Mason's disgrace. The socialites shrank back, their legacy erased as Vance's name was spat, his career over. Nathaniel Stone's nod was firm, his silence amplifying Clara's triumph. The crowd's bets lay scattered, their cash a relic of their folly. The chandeliers flickered, Clara's t-shirt a crown, her talent, a fire that burned eternal. The audience's satisfaction soared, the battle cry, a testament to Clara's legend, a wound to the elite's pride that would never heal. A mogul dropped his cigar, bets forgotten, as whispers spread. Clara Wynne, the ghost of the battlefield, the slayer of giants. The ballroom's air grew heavy, its walls bowing to her, the ring her throne, her silence louder than the crowd's fallen jeers. The crowd's reverence turned to accusation as they turned on Mason's entourage, their voices sharp. You set her up, a banker shouted, his tie askew. You mocked a warrior, a socialite hissed, her gown crumpled. The phones that once filmed Clara's shame now captured the elite's disgrace, their faces crumpling under their own scorn. Vance tried to rally them, his voice cracking. It was just a game. A veteran shut him down, his voice a growl. You disrespected a SEAL. The crowd's applause for Clara grew, their cheers a verdict, as Mason's medics fumbled, their hands slipping in his blood. As Clara's revelations sank in, the elite turned on themselves, their accusations a mirror to their own complicity. You cheered for this, a banker snarled at a socialite, his face red, his bet lost. You called her a pet, another hissed. Her gown crumpled, her phone dropping. The crowd's phones now filmed their own disgrace, their faces twisted in shame, their earlier taunts a noose around their necks. A mogul tore his betting slip, muttering, We mocked a SEAL. Vance's voice cracked, his defense ignored as the veteran's applause drowned him. Clara's silence was a catalyst, her strike the spark that exposed the ballroom's rot. The chandeliers flickered, the ring a monument to her justice, her talent a blade that cut through their lies. The audience's satisfaction piqued the elite's self-inflicted shame, a feast for justice, Clara's triumph, a fire that consumed their arrogance. Nathaniel Stone clapped slowly, his eyes on Clara, his silence a testament to her command. The ballroom chandeliers flickered, the ring a monument to Clara's justice, her strike a blade that cut through the elite's lies. The fallout was swift, merciless. Mason's reputation disintegrated, his knockout clips banned from pro boxing circles, but the shame clung like a shadow. His entourage scattered, their names erased from the elite's guest lists, their arrogance a warning etched in the ballroom's lore. Vance's career tanked, his MC gigs canceled, his bias a public scar. The Boxing for Heroes event faced scrutiny, its charity facade exposed, its organizers shunned by the veterans it claimed to serve. Clara refused every fight invitation, her name a blade in the underground. In penthouses and private clubs, the elite whispered Clara Wynne, the t-shirt-clad specter, the one who felled a titan. The ring, once a stage for cruelty, became a shrine to her. Strike her combo, a myth that outlived the ballroom's glitz. The crowd's phones spread her legend, each video a testament to her wrath. Clara's exit was a coronation, her sneakers silent on the marble, her torn t-shirt a banner of victory. The ballroom's doors swung shut behind her, but the story was already a wildfire. As Clara prepared to exit, the ring itself seemed to transform its canvas, no longer a stage for cruelty, but a shrine to her strike. Fighters in the crowd knelt touching the ropes, their whispers reverent. This is Wynn's ground now. The bloodied canvas soaked with Mason's defeat gleamed under the chandeliers, a testament to her power. A veteran tossed his cap onto the ring, shouting, "For the seal!" Sparking cheers. The socialites' faces fell, their legacy erased as Vance's mic lay forgotten, his role a footnote. Nathaniel Stone's clap echoed his silence, a nod to Clara's command. The crowd's phones captured the ring's new sanctity, their bets a memory of their folly. The ballroom's air grew heavy, Clara's t-shirt, a crown, her talent, a scar that marked the ring forever. As Clara stepped from the ring, the canvas bore her mark, its bloodied surface a permanent testament to her strike that transformed the ballroom's soul. Fighters in the crowd traced the ropes, their whispers reverent. This is sacred now. A veteran knelt, pressing his hand to Mason's blood, muttering, "For Wynn's justice." The socialites' faces fell, their arrogance dust, as Vance's mic lay forgotten, his role erased. Nathaniel Stone's clap echoed his silence, a nod to Clara's command. The crowd's phones captured the ring's new sanctity, their bets a memory of their folly. The chandeliers dimmed Clara's t-shirt, a crown, her talent a scar that bound the ring to her forever. The audience's satisfaction crested the ring's mark, a lasting monument to Clara's victory, a wound to the elite's pride that would never fade. The audience's satisfaction crested the ring's transformation, a lasting monument to Clara's victory, a wound to the elite's pride. Spectators recounted the knockout, their voices hushed, as if speaking her name too loudly might summon her. A mogul, his cash gone, muttered, "She's no pet. She's a damn assassin." The colonel nodded his eyes. Distant Wynn's the real deal. Always was. The ballroom's air grew heavy, its walls echoing her name. Clara Wynn, the wolf in plain clothes, the nightmare. The elite avoided the ring for weeks, its canvas a reminder of their hubris. Mason's blood dried, but his defeat lived a scar on the underground. Clara's silence was her crown, her strike, her scepter, her legend, a warning that burned. As Clara vanished into the night, a group of young fighters in the crowd began mimicking her combo in the ballroom shadows, their movements clumsy but reverent. "That's Wynn's strike one," whispered, his eyes wide with awe. The phones turned, capturing the impromptu tribute, their cheers a final salute to her legend. As Clara's silhouette faded, a group of young fighters in the crowd made a solemn vow, their voices low but fierce, pledging to honor her strike. "We train like Wynn now," one declared, his fists clenched, his eyes burning with awe. They began shadowboxing her combo, their movements a tribute, their phones filming the oath. "No one mocks the quiet ones," another vowed, his voice a warning to the elite. The crowd's cheers grew their applause, a final salute as the socialites shrank back, their arrogance dust. Vance's name was spat, his career over, as the veterans nodded their respect, a crown for Clara. The chandeliers dimmed the ballroom, a shrine to her name, her talent a fire that burned eternal. As Clara's legend spread, the elite faced a final reckoning, their names tarnished in the underground as whispers of their shame echoed. They mocked a seal, a fighter hissed his voice, a warning in private clubs. The crowd's phones looped Clara's knockout, each view a nail in the elite's coffin. Socialites who'd laughed now hid their invitations, revoked their arrogance, a public scar. Vance's name was cursed, his gigs gone, as the veterans' cheers crowned Clara. Nathaniel Stone's silence was a verdict, his nod a seal on her triumph. The chandeliers dimmed the ballroom, a shrine to her name, her talent, a fire that burned eternal. The audience's satisfaction soared, the elite's reckoning, a testament to Clara's legacy, a scar on their pride that would never heal. The audience's satisfaction soared, the fighter's vow, a testament to Clara's legacy, a scar on the elite's pride that would never fade. The socialites' champagne went flat, their legacy erased, as the ballroom became a shrine to Clara's name. Vance's mic lay forgotten, his role a footnote in her story. The mogul's cash was dust, their bets a lesson in underestimating the quiet. Clara's silence was a thunderclap, her victory a seal that bound the ring to her forever. Her legend, a beacon that lit the elite's reckoning. In every private club, every ring, her name became a mantra. "Who do you fear?" The elite asked, their voices low. "Fear Clara Wynn," came the reply, a vow, a warning. The ballroom's lights dimmed, its glitz faded, but Clara's story burned brighter, a beacon in the underground. Spectators who'd bet against her now told her tale, their voices tinged with awe. The moguls who'd laughed counted losses, their cash gone to Clara's silence. The colonel who'd seen her strike spoke of her in hushed tones, his stories laced with her name. Clara Wynne, 5 feet 3 inches, 121 pounds, had walked into a den of wolves and left it a ruin. The ring was hers, the canvas, her throne, her combo, a legend that echoed in every fist thrown. The elite bowed their kings, dethroned their pride ashes. She didn't flinch. She didn't smile. She left them kneeling, crushed under the weight of their shattered pride. If you live for the underdog, ripping the crown off the king, like, share. Comment your favorite revenge knockout, and subscribe for more stories where the girl nobody saw coming breaks the whole damn arena.